Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Don. As I was preparing for this video, I realized my first three were more or less autobiographical. So I decided to do this fourth episode on a different topic. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you learn something that you were not aware of. I want to talk about our founding fathers. Now, I don't know if I heard this somewhere, saw it on a video, or read it in a book. I can't remember. But the premise was that America was fortunate during our founding to have so many great men who were able to shape our country. Now, my thought is it's not that they were born great, it's that they were ordinary men who rose to greatness when circumstances dictated. For my first example, I would like to talk about George Washington. Now, before he became our president, he was a land surveyor and a tobacco farmer. But eventually he rose up to be the General of the Continental Army, Commander-in-Chief, and then ultimately our first president. So I would say that while he was a great man, I don't know that he was born with greatness, but rather he rose to the occasion. Our next founding father is Thomas Jefferson. He was a lawyer, a surveyor, and a farmer. He also authored the Declaration of Independence, probably one of the most significant documents in the history of the world. John Adams was a school teacher and a lawyer, and also was a leader of the Continental Congress, and eventually became a president of the United States. Benjamin Franklin was a printer, a publisher, an author, an inventor, and for better or worse, one of his ideas was daylight savings time. He was also a signer of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States, as well as a diplomat, notably serving in Paris, France. Alexander Hamilton was a mercantile clerk and a lawyer, the author of the Federalist Papers, and the first Secretary of our Treasury. John Jay was a lawyer who eventually became the first Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. And finally, James Madison was a scholar and the father of our Constitution. In conclusion, several of these founding fathers went on to become a president of the United States, and it is my position that these people were not necessarily great men because history ordained them so, but they were ordinary men who rose to extraordinary occurrences, positions, and occasions. So, thank you for listening to this informative history lesson. I hope you have enjoyed it. Just to lengthen this video a little bit, I would like to share a few things that really get under my skin, or as Peter Griffin would say, grind my gears. A lot of these are mispronunciations or improper use of terminology. For example, growing up, it wasn't harass, it was harass. You harass someone, you don't harass them. Lately, I've noticed that instead of saying resources, people are saying resources. Since when did we put a Z in resources? Improper military terminology. The correct expression of time before noon, well, actually before 10 a.m., would put a 0 in front of the time. For example, 0930, 0820. You don't say 0820 like they do in the movies. Another one is when people overemphasize or completely omit the letter T. For example, button or button. It's not a button or a button, it's a button. I know this all sounds petty, but I'm getting old and I'm allowed to be grumpy. One final gripe for now, and maybe more in future episodes, is like people who say the word like every other word, like when they're talking. Learn proper English. I saw a video one time of the difference between people speaking today and how they wrote letters 150 years ago. It was just incredible, the poetry, the expression that people used when writing letters. My son made a very good point, though, and I tend to agree with him. He said that back then paper was not as abundant as it is today, so people had to be very careful about how they used it and how they composed their thoughts. So they evidently put much consideration in what they were preparing to write. Anyway, those are some of my irksomes. Thank you for putting up with this grumpy old man, and I hope you'll come back next time. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day. P.S. If you would like to, please share your own irksomes in the comments below. Also, I think in the next episode I will have another edition of English is Weird. Again, thank you for tuning in, and take care.